The Bird Woman by H. Spicer. The events of this strange tale, though they actually occurred in England but a short while since, would scarcely be out of place in a book of German dreams and fancies. The narrator, a girl of the servant class, but of rather superior education and manners, had called on the writer's sister on the subject of a place to which he had been recommended, and in the course of conversation related the following as a recent experience. The advertisement she had placed, in which she set forth her willingness to take charge of an invalid, infirm, or lunatic person, or to assume any office demanding unusual steadiness of nerve, was replied to by a lady whose letter was dated from a certain locality on the outskirts of a large commercial city, and who requested her attendance there at an appointed time. The house proved to be a dingy, deserted-looking mansion, and was not rendered more cheerful by the fact that the adjoining tenements on either side were unoccupied. It wore altogether a haunted and sinister aspect, and the girl, as she rang the bell, was aware of a kind of misgiving for which she could not account. A timid person might have hesitated, but this girl possessed unusual firmness and courage, and in spite of the presentiment we have mentioned, she determined, at all events, to see what she would be called upon to encounter. A ladylike person, the mistress herself, opened the door, and conducting the applicant into a vacant apartment, informed her in a few words that the service that would be required of her was of a very peculiar nature, imperatively demanding those precise qualities she conceived her to possess. It was right, she added, to mention that the family lived in great seclusion, partly from choice, partly from necessity, an impression having gone abroad that there existed something strange and evil in connection with the residence, which was, in reality, known in the vicinity by the title of the Haunted House. With these few preliminary warnings, the lady suggested the applicant might wish to reconsider her purpose. The latter, however, having little fear of anything human, and none at all of apparitions, at once agreed to the terms proposed, stipulating only that the cause of the strange reports affecting the mansion should be a little more clearly explained, and her own particular duties defined. The mistress readily assented to both conditions, and leading the way to a ground-floor apartment at the back, unlocked the door and turned the handle as about to enter. But checking herself suddenly, warned her companion, without sinking her voice below its ordinary tone, that she was about to be brought face to face with a spectacle that might well try the strongest of nerves. Nevertheless, there was nothing to fear so long as she retained her self-command. With this not very reassuring preface, they entered the room. It was rather dark, for the lower half of the windows were boarded up, but in one corner on the floor was plainly distinguishable what looked like a heap of clothes flung together in disorder. It appeared to be in motion, however, and the mistress of the house once more, turning to her follower, had just time to utter the mysterious words, "Don't be frightened. If she likes you, she'll hoot. If she doesn't, she'll scream." From the apex of the seeming heap of clothes, there rose a head that made the stranger's blood run chill. It was human, indeed, in general structure, but exhibited, in place of a nose, a huge beak, curved and pointed like that of an owl. Two large, staring yellow eyes increased the bizarre resemblance, while numerous tufts of some feathery substance, sprouting from a hard skin and black as a parrot's tongue, completed this horrible intermingling of bird and woman. As they approached, the unhappy being rose and sunk with the measured motion of a bird upon a perch, and presently, opening its mouth, gave utterance to a hideous and prolonged "too." "All right," said the lady quietly. "She likes you." They were now standing, as it were, over the unfortunate freak of nature. "Have you the courage to lift her?" inquired the lady. "Try." The girl, though recoiling instinctively from the contact, nerved herself to the utmost, and putting her arms beneath those of the still hooting creature, strove to raise it up. In doing so, the hands became disengaged from the clothes. They were black and armed with long, curved talons, like those of a bird of prey. Even this new discovery might not have made the girl's courage quail, had she not, in raising the creature, observed that she was not, as had seemed to be the case, crouched upon the ground, but balanced on an actual perch, round which her feet closed and clung by means of talons similar to those which adorned her hands. So inexpressible was the feeling of horror that now overcame the visitor, that after one desperate effort of self-control, she was forced to let go of the thing she held. A wild, unearthly scream that rang through the house marked the creature's change of mood. The baleful eyes shot yellow fire, and scream after scream pursued her as she fairly fled from the apartment, followed at a steadier pace by the lady. The latter took her into another room, did all her power to soothe her agitation, but expressed no surprise when the girl declared that 10 times the liberal amount already offered would not tempt her to undertake such a charge.